What is up, you guys? It is your boy Al, the founder of UDK Sports Talk, and as you can tell by the attire, in today's video, I wanted to talk about our New York Knicks. Now, I apologize for not getting you all a recap video from the games following the OKC loss at the Garden. I was in Puerto Rico, I was with my family, and as all of you know, I am a Rams fan, and we had a big trade and some big free agent news that ended up happening over the course of my vacation. And because I have so much content to create, I wasn't able to get to the Knicks content, and at that point it's just strictly about family time, so I wasn't able to give you all my opinion following the Clippers loss, the Lakers loss, how pathetic we looked against Utah, but then how dominant we looked against Denver. So man, with that being said, don't forget to like, comment, and sub to the channel. Check off the bell notification icon to become part of the family. With that being said, let's get into it. All right, everyone, so we're going to cut straight to the chase, man. As you can tell, our New York Knicks, everybody wants to downgrade us when we do bad, right? But the minute we win a big game, nobody really wants to talk about us. And the lack of respect that's being put on our New York Knicks, in my opinion, is ludicrous. You know, when you look at these guys on these platforms that are rendering their opinion on the New York Knicks, it's always about, well, they're not going to be good enough in the postseason. Well, they can't win playing like this, and they can't do this, and they can't do that. And listen, I'm just going to be 100% honest with you, right? Because I saw this comment by Stephen A. Smith when he was reacting to one of our losses, and that was the game against the Lakers, in which he said basically that the New York Knicks were pretenders, and they're not going to be able to beat Boston with Tatum back. They're not going to be able to beat the Detroit Pistons because they haven't shown to beat them all year long, and that they're going to struggle with the Cleveland Cavaliers. The reality is, to a lot of you Knicks fans, well, to the fair weather fans, is that it's this simple. With the New York Knicks, this iteration of the New York Knicks, we are a live and die by the three team. And that's what it is. Unfortunately, I don't like that. But that is why when the Knicks are hitting their threes, they look like a top three team in the NBA. And when they're not hitting their threes, they look like a mediocre team in the NBA. And the stats support that. I believe that when they are not hitting a certain percentage of their threes, they're like at a 500 record. And vice versa, when they hit a great portion of their threes, they win by a lot. So that is why the New York Knicks, you have such this up and down lack of consistency with this team. And it's specifically because of this, man. We are running a system that is catered to guys that can absolutely shoot it lights out from the three-point arc. And when you're looking at the players who were very effective in the system, going back to Golden State, it was Steph Curry, right, and Klay Thompson. Two of the top three, in my opinion, well, top four greatest shooters of all time. Guys that could consistently shoot 40 to 42% from three, which basically some of those open looks from three were like layups for them. You're asking the New York Knicks to shoot the three consistently like if they are great three-point shooters. This is the caveat, man. The Knicks have guys that can shoot the three. They don't have great three-point shooters. So that is why you get the lack of consistency from the New York Knicks. It is because when you have guys who are streaky, when they are hitting their threes, it looks amazing. But guess what happens with a streaky shooter? Eventually you grow cold. And when you get cold, now your threes aren't falling. And then that leads to the losses that the New York Knicks have had. When you look at the games against the Lakers, right? And that's the one thing that pisses me off when people say that we're not contenders, we're not any of this. It's ridiculous, especially Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith has no ground to stand on with the New York Knicks fans, specifically because you go on that platform talking crazy about a team that you say you're a fan of, but you don't acknowledge the obvious. The obvious is that we are a three-point shooting team, like I said before. And when their threes are falling, they win. And when their threes are not falling, they lose. Look at the game against the Lakers. I believe we shot 24% from three. 24% from three is not going to win you many games. And the Lakers shot, 35%? They hit like 7 more three-point shots than us. That's the difference in the game. Now, going up against the Clippers, we shot a little bit better from the three-point arc, but the Clippers were lights out from the three-point arc as well. And when you don't have that consistent shooting, right, along with the effort defensively, the Knicks are going to lose games that, in theory, they should win. Now, this is how I look at it, right, because you saw the effort starting off against Utah. You saw the way they looked against Indiana, in which it doesn't look like the effort is there. They're not coming out strong. For whatever reason, it looks like they have nailed in the season. They are ready to move on to the playoffs. Whatever the case is, listen, man, it's this simple. The one thing that should never be wavering from our New York Knicks is the grit and the effort that is needed day in and day out. But it looks like with this team, and I don't want to give them an excuse, but this looks like the Cavs teams with LeBron when they have made multiple finals runs and they are just trying to get to the finish line. That's how it feels. Now, have they earned that right? No, the Knicks haven't won anything. So for them to be doing that, it's very questionable because you guys haven't earned that right. But here we are. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this, man, for a lot of the fans that think that the Knicks aren't going to go anywhere. When you look at the landscape of the New York Knicks and you look at the Eastern Conference and you look at the Knicks roster from top to bottom, the Knicks have versatility. They have the size, they have the defense, they have the shooting. Well, they have enough shooting to mix and match based off the opponent to match up with them. And this is the thing, man. I get it. Boston got Jason Tatum back, and they have Jaylen Brown playing at an MVP level. And for whatever reason, it just seems like everybody wants to glaze everyone else, right? I'm going to go on to say this. When the New York Knicks lost to the OKC Thunder, everybody knew watching that game that the Knicks were right on their level. Everyone saw the Knicks get robbed by those officials, making very questionable calls that led to points coming off the board for the New York Knicks, which in my opinion were the difference in them winning that game. No one said anything when they lost 103 to 100. All they said was, oh, that is a good loss. No one wanted to say something when we absolutely annihilated Denver in Denver, won by almost 40 points. This was a team that on ESPN, they were talking about, can the Denver Nuggets go all the way? But the minute the Knicks went over to Denver and absolutely whooped them, no one said a thing. But then the minute the Knicks lose to the Lakers, oh my God, this team is inconsistent. This team is a pretender. Get out of here. Miss me with that, bro. You want to know why? Because this is a make or miss league. Everyone wants to talk about, oh, we didn't beat the Detroit Pistons. Well, yeah, look at how we shot from three. We shot like 20%. You're not going to win shooting 20% from three. So yes, we had all shooting nights. What would have happened if we hit a couple of those threes? You never know what could have happened. Now, vice versa, you get to this Boston Celtics, who they say we're not going to be able to beat with Jason Tatum coming back. Why not? Do you not look at our roster next to theirs? Why can we not compete with them? Do we not have the matchups to be able to go against them and to be able to get the advantage? Again, this is what I'm going with these guys that have the nerve to talk about our New York Knicks and give biased takes that is just basically, in my opinion, Knicks for clicks. The reality is that the New York Knicks, in my opinion, I'm going to stand on this. They are a top 3 team in the NBA. They are a great team. They have a closer in Jalen Brunson who is phenomenal. They have a guy in Karl Anthony Towns who can get his own shot whenever, and you can't defend him. The only one who gets in his way is Karl Anthony Towns. You have OG Anunoby, who is a great defender, who can hit the three and can take it to the rack. You have Mikal Bridges, who has, listen, I know he's been questionable, right? I've had my own criticisms about him. But the one thing that dude can do is play defense, and he can shoot the mid-range. Now, when we're talking about getting to the rack, I don't know. And he's inconsistent from three. But that corner three is his best three-point shot. They act like we don't have the matchups to go up against these teams. Like we don't have a Mitchell Robinson. Like we don't have a Jose Alvarado on the bench. Like we're not potentially going to get back a Deuce McBride, Landry Shamet, Jordan Clarkson. What are we talking about? The Knicks could play any which way with these guys. That is what the roster Leon Rose has put together suggests. And that is why I believe it's a complete overreaction to our New York Knicks. It definitely looks like they are at that point where they just want to get to the playoffs and they want to be able to start the playoffs from game one. And then that's when you're really going to see this New York Knicks team. It does make me concerned, right? I'm not going to lie to you. There is a red flag here where you keep wanting to turn on the switch, turn off the switch, but at some point you're going to have to keep it on. And what happens when you go to keep it on and you don't have that switch anymore? That's what I'm worried about. And there's the thing, when you live and die by the three, we saw this with Boston last year. The minute they went cold from three, the Knicks were able to beat them. I don't like this whole live and die by the three. I don't. But this is the new era of the NBA. Now, when I see the comparisons, and this is what a lot of people go to when they talk about Tom Thibodeau versus Mike Brown. Oh, the games in the regular season with Tom Thibodeau, we would have won those games. Well, here's the deal, right? Because everybody wants to go back to the Tom Thibodeau and Mike Brown comparison. Listen, man, I wanted them to keep Tom Thibodeau, but it was made clear that they couldn't bring him back because the players weren't rocking with him. And we all know who that one player was. I spoke about this in the previous video. It was Mikal Bridges. We can only speculate to what happened in that meeting with James Dolan and Leon Rose. But the reality is that the Knicks at this point, you were able to see at points in the season that this is what Leon Rose envisioned for this team. We never got down to Tom Thibodeau. Even though we have beat Detroit, even though we have beat Boston, even though we pushed Indiana to Game 6, you never got the glimpse of this is what it's supposed to look like. This is what's envisioned. We have got that under Mike Brown multiple times. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say Mike Brown's a better coach than Tom Thibodeau. I believe that he's more willing to work with Leon Rose and upper management in terms of roster moves and the rotations and things of that nature. Who's going to play, who's going to get developed, things of that. But when you look at how the ball is moving around, the type of system that he wants to bring to the New York Knicks, you could definitely see the differences. Now, here we are. We knew that with Mike Brown, we weren't going to be able to always win a lot of these regular season games. Why? Because sometimes you just need the energy and the grit to be able to win. And it looks like a lot of our New York Knicks in some of these games don't have the energy or the effort to win on every single night, which is ridiculous for a team that we all believe should be a championship contending team. But I'm going to go out and say this, man. The Knicks have the versatility. They could go double big. They could go with a lot more length, right? And they could substitute Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns in and out, right? To have them be the one option to combine with the length. When you think about Jeremy Sohan, Jose Alvarado, Miles McBride, Landry Shamet, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. You have all of the tools at your disposal. This is the best roster that the New York Knicks have had since the 1997 season, in my opinion. And because of that, it's why I believe that the New York Knicks have their best chance in years to win an NBA championship. I don't care what nobody says. I'm tired of the Knicks for clicks, the disrespect that's being placed on these guys, because the Knicks have the talent. It is here. And this is a veteran team, and we seem to forget that this is a veteran team. This is a veteran team who knows that they have to pace themselves to get to the finish line. That is why you don't have them going crazy in the regular season the way OKC does, the way Detroit does. And you saw that Detroit's starting to calm down. They're starting to lose gas. This is exactly why the New York Knicks wanted to pace themselves and start hitting their stride going into the postseason. Now, I will say this reminds me a lot of last year, in which we lost games that we should have won. But with that said, I have full faith in our guys. This roster is too loaded. They're too good. They have great players. They have great scorers. They have absolutely everything you need to win a championship. The reality is, can they lock in for 16 games? That means 16 wins to go all the way. And I believe, I'm going to stand on this, that the New York Knicks are going to go to the finals this year. I don't care about Cleveland. I don't care about Boston. I don't care about Detroit. You want to know why? Because it's this simple. You have had now multiple cracks at the pie. You lost in the second round to Indiana in Game 7, in which you were hurt. You lost last year, right? You lost last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 6. 2 years ago, you lost to the Miami Heat in a series you should have won to go to the ECF. But you lost in the second round. These guys have played together. They know what it takes. They have the experience. And this is their time. If you don't believe that there isn't a process that needs to happen in order for you to become an NBA champion, you don't have a clue as to what it takes. You have to lose, right, before you're able to win. The Knicks have the most experience. They have the versatility. They have the size. They have whatever you need in order for them to go all the way. They have the whole roster can give you something that you're going to need in the playoffs. And you have the experience. So again, when we go back to the Knicks for clicks, I'm going to sit here and say this. Don't come over here talking about big body Brunson. And don't come over here talking about orange and blue skies. Don't come over here and talking about you're rocking with us. Jalen Brunson, I always sided with them. No. The reality is, all you want to do is talk about them when they do bad. Let's not forget this. When we were with Tom Thibodeau, how did we do against Boston last year? How did we do against Cleveland? How did we do against OKC, the top teams? Got ran out the gym. Nobody says anything when the Knicks went 2-1 against Cleveland. Oh, that was before James Harden. Oh, no, my bad. All right, we beat Cleveland 2-1, right? 2-1 so far against Boston. We got one more game coming up against them, right? We split against Philly, right? We split against Orlando. We played a great game against OKC. We beat Houston. We beat the Lakers. We beat the Wolves. I mean, listen, we're going all the way through the great playoff teams. The Knicks have beat them. But no one wants to give them credit when they beat those teams. You just focus on when they do bad. But yeah, you're going to look at those teams that they beat and say, oh, we can make a case for them to win the NBA championship because of a player that you love on the team. Get the heck out of here. Y'all miss me with that. Throw some respect on the New York Knicks, man. I'm tired of the disrespect that's been placed on them. And like I said, I'm going to stand on this tape all the way through and through. The New York Knicks have the roster to go all the way. They have the versatility to go all the way and win an NBA championship. And I believe that they're going to do so this year. And if they don't win it this year, they're going to at least get to the finals this year. I'm tired of the disrespect from the media on our New York Knicks. Now, before I end it, people need to understand this, right? When comparing Mike Brown to Tom Thibodeau. A lot of people are going to say, well, with Tom Thibodeau, we didn't mail in any regular season games and we were able to win a lot more games. But this is the caveat, right? When you think about the two teams, the Knicks have the potential now to blow you out any given night. You never felt like that with Tom Thibodeau. Here's the thing when you compare the two coaches. Tom Thibodeau is built off of defense and rebounding and grit and energy. That's what it is night to night with Tom Thibodeau, and it is why they always hit a ceiling with him. That is why they can never ascend. Tom Thibodeau's offense was very vanilla, and all it was get the easy shots. If you have an open three, take the open three, but let's live and die with the easy looks. We get easy looks, we're able to get to the mid-range, lay it in, whatever the case is, we dish it to the open shooter from three. We're going to be in a good position. But here's the deal. When you're going up against teams like what you saw last year, Cleveland, Boston, and OKC, you're basically trading twos for threes. And you're getting ran out the gym hoping that they're going to get cold, and they don't get cold. That's why we lost so bad in some of those games. With Mike Brown, what's happening is when the threes are falling, you're winning or you're beating great teams. When they're not falling, you're losing badly. That's exactly what happened with Boston last year. And no one was talking about that. No one was talking about that. They were just saying, oh, they're the champions. They're going to ramp it back up. But yet the Knicks are doing that and no one is giving them credit. Y'all missed me with that, man. But with all that being said, you guys, that's all I got for you. Don't forget to like, comment, and sub to the channel. Check off the bell notification icon to become part of the family. And with that being said, we have 15 games left in the season. You have a great stretch going down, and they're not going to be easy games because the Knicks are, at this point, they're ready to move on to the postseason and just get to the finish line healthy. But if they rattle off these games, the way I believe they can go on a 7, 8, 9 game winning streak, going into the postseason hot. They can't get the number 2 seed, and they could distance themselves between Cleveland and Boston, and they could host the first round and the second round with home court. I'm tired of the Knicks disrespect. And because I had a week off, right, I was on vacation, I needed to come out and drop some fire for you guys. That's all I got for you guys. Stay blessed, and let's go Knicks.